All right. So thanks to everyone who's here. And then so we've got what's in your bag. So I'm Mike Morgan. I'm the board chair, and hosting this along with Caroline Phillips. And yeah, we're very happy to have you all here. So just wanted to talk real briefly about some upcoming events that we've got going on. Next week, in fact, we're going to have like an Oktoberfest happy hour, and that's going to be on Wednesday, 5 to 8, Ivy and Coney Rooftop Bar, and it is covered. So rain or shine, we'll be out there having some beers. So you can join us. And then we're still planning a bunch of planning 3 November events, and they're still coming together right now. And of course, we're going to have our holiday party, so in December. So yeah, and so I'll go ahead and send this over to Caroline so you can introduce our speakers.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Like Mike said, this is what's in your bag. The event is being recorded, so if you don't wish to be, on the screen, just put your video off. But we will have this available on our website, apadc.com, to be watched again. So tonight we're going to kind of talk about, people are into the room as I'm talking. Hold on. So tonight we're going to talk with our guests, which I'm very excited to introduce in a second. And we're going to talk about our gear, our evolution of the gear, and kind of what's in our bag, what we take everywhere with us all the time. And then we're going to open up to audience discussion. And as I see everyone coming in, we're going to have some fun with that as well. And with that, be sure you have your gear ready. If you have it, you don't have to necessarily have it, but be ready to explain it, talk about it, and why you include it in your equipment. So, and when you do that, you're going to raise your hand. If you don't know where that is, I think it's near the bottom or near the control panel under reactions. So just raise your hand and I will let you speak. So go next. There we go. First, I would like to introduce Hanalei Lati. She is a nature, travel, and dog photographer based in Washington, D.C. She spent the last 20 years carefully curating her photography to support the subjects that she cares for the most. Her clients include the Smithsonian Institution, National Geographic, dogs, and the owners and businesses who love them. And she exhibits in galleries and institutions worldwide. Follow her along on her accounts, which she has amazing dog content. Please do. You can follow her for nature and travel at Hanalei Lati, and then for her dogs at a dog photographer. Welcome. And then next we have Brittany. I've already forgotten. Diliberto.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. Is an internationally acclaimed wedding photographer, and she is based also in Washington, D.C. She's been recognized among the top 100 wedding photographers in the world by Fearless Photographers. This is Reportage, Inspiration Photographers, and the Wedding Photojournalists Association. And she's the owner and lead photographer of Be2 Sweet Photography, known for her unexpected, authentic, and epic imagery. And you can find her at Be2 Sweet and her website as well right there. And thank you, Brittany, for joining us as well. We're excited to see the wedding side of it, which I feel like we don't get too much with APA, which I love. I think it translates to a lot of different areas.
It's a Swiss Army knife, right?
It is. It is. All right. Then last but not least, we have Johnny. He is a corporate photographer based in the Washington, D.C. area. His photography helps individuals and companies share their story through personalized headshots, authentic workplace scenes, and creative business portraits. His clients range from Fortune 100 brands to small business solopreneurs. And his social media is Johnny Shyrock Photography. Shyrock, right? Right? No, yes, okay, got it right, good. So we're gonna open up the discussion to our 3 panelist guests by first asking the question, what is that crucial piece of gear that you pack? And our guests also have some really fun, like their bags behind them. So they're going to go into a whole bunch of detail as well. Let's start with Johnny before he loses too much light out there.
Hey everyone, I'm Johnny. Pleasure to be here tonight. Thanks for the invite, APA. And I just joined APA today. Believe it or not, I was not a member, and I finally joined up, and I'm really excited because I've attended APA events. So anyways, big shout out to APA for doing amazing things. So I do mainly corporate headshots, corporate portraits, workplace type photography. Everything is destined for websites, promo type stuff. So that's kind of my wheelhouse and what I shoot mostly during the week. I also do weddings with Brittany on the weekends, where she is our leader, and I help her capture the weddings. Let me show you first the worldwide debut of a bag attachment that I invented. So you've heard of the grip and gaff bag, or if you haven't, now you have. What if you could attach your grip and gaff bag to a rolling bag? Well, through the power of Velcro One Wrap, now you can. So I've engineered this thing here. I'm gonna pan out and show you here live. This?
Johnny, move your chair.
Okay, good idea. Thanks, Brittany.
Here to help.
I'm so excited to share this bag. So here we go, guys. Going in for the close-up. Little side shot here. So this is the grip and gaff bag, which usually goes over a multi-cart. This is a Logistics Manager 30, and this is a Velcro contraption that I use to attach the two. So I can kick here and wheel with one hand, in and out of doors, etc. And the way it all goes together is through this. It's like a little backpack. So it's made out of Velcro. It's not the most elegant to share over Zoom, but basically you can see this little spider web thing. I'll share more to those interested parties that want to know. But basically, I fashioned a way to carry all of the very long, very pokey things that I like to bring. Really long stands, really long umbrellas and stuff like that. So the grip and gaff bag here, I can strap it and drop it down onto the rolling bag to get in and out of offices easy. So that's thing one. Thing one is hooking one bag onto another, kind of like pilots do in the airport. The other thing I want to share is my latest tripod method. So this is a C-stand, which stands for Century Stand, and it is very durable, and I love it for using as a tripod because I can quickly change the height adjustment with just one knob. Unlike tripods where you might have to move two things, I can just go up and down very quickly with one access point. And I will often, actually nearly every shoot, put it on wheels. So I've got the C-stand on the wheels, and I can roll around the office building with the camera on the tripod. I have a pin for the tripod head here, so I can just drop this on any light stand. With the tethering solution for this stand, I place, this is a little sidearm, so I can undo this here, and I will hook it to the stand. Clients usually don't see all the setup stuff, but sometimes they do, but you guys get to see it all. So I have this here, so I can roll this around, and I have my my DigiPlate here. So I can drop the this on the pin, and now I'm rolling around, got my camera, got my cable, got my laptop, and I'm on wheels. And if I got a tall person, I could just kick it up really fast. And I'm all about speed. I like to try to keep things snappy on set. So that's thing 2, is the tripod and the laptop on wheels. And then thing 3 is this LED panel. So I've never been happy with the modeling lamp on flashes. I find it's too dim. And if you're in a dark office environment, you'll end up having people with very enlarged pupils. And if they have great color in their eyes, you won't be able to reveal that color because the room is so dark. And the modeling lamp on the flash is not that bright. So what I do is I stuff this flexible LED panel inside an umbrella or a softbox, and I kick it on in order to help the eye pupil constrict to reveal the color in the eye. This could also go behind the photographer. It could also be used as their main light, even stuffed in an umbrella. This thing puts out some nice light. So what I will do, and this is about to conclude my whole presentation, try not to take up too much time, but I'll take the umbrella and I will just wedge this in the spokes. Usually the umbrella is on the ground, but doing it one hand is a little more tricky. So I will wedge this behind the umbrella here, and then I'll put on the diffusion panel. This is just a quick demo, but we'll get it placed in there, put on the diffusion panel, and then we're good to go for having the LED to light the scene and also to get a little bit of fill light. Depends on your flash setting, if it's really going to be your main light or if it's going to be just providing some fill. But for many years, I have stuffed all sorts of LEDs inside my lighting. So the flash is usually the main thing that is lighting the person, but depending on your power, it might be a combination of the LED and the flash. And then the final thing I want to share is if you ever are flying, this is a molded hard plastic tripod case. It is not oversized, and you can take this to fly around with some lighting stands or a giant umbrella or whatever. So you can kick this here. It's got wheels. It is pretty light. So oftentimes it will hit about 50 pounds. I try to keep it under the limit so I don't have to pay extra for baggage. But that is a little bonus tip. If you have never flown with gear before and you want to bring your personal favorite softbox or your favorite stand or your favorite umbrella and it's super long, the length of this case allows us to bring some really nice stuff with it. I can share links if anybody wants. You could always email me or ask for more. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Johnny. That was awesome. And how long did it take you to, are these recent additions to your bag or are these something that you kind of had for a while now?
The C-stand thing is kind of recent. I had no good way to bring them into office buildings without using a cart. I'm kind of anti-cart because it may imply I have to use a loading dock, which increases my load in and load out time. It's also a little more complex to weave through tight spaces. But once I was able to hook the bag in, tripod on wheels is amazing. So the C-stand with the little sidearm, that's new. LEDs being stuffed inside umbrellas and softboxes. I've done that a long time, but the LED panel here, it's bicolor, flexible, durable, amazing. It's the Westcott Flex 1x1.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Hanalei, do you want to go next?
Be happy to go next. Wow, Johnny, that's awesome. All those things, I'm like writing notes down. I am not the MacGyver of equipment like, like Johnny is. So with my work, because I work outdoors a lot, one of my main gigs is working in gardens and photographing plants and that sort of thing on the mall. So I have to keep it pretty tight. So everything that I bring is in this little bag, this backpack that I can take on the train and walk around, because the campus that I'm working on is, you know, the whole mall. So I have to be able to be pretty mobile. But the things that I like to use in that type of work are just a simple reflector, just your standard 5-in-1 reflector that you can fold up. I have them in many sizes. And then I use a just a little off-camera flash with the remote trigger. And I use my tripod to mount that up when I'm in the garden. So my tripod can make use of the light and my camera if I need it. So it kind of keeps everything really compact. And then when I'm photographing animals, it's a whole nother ball game, because unlike with people where you can kind of pose them and keep them in one certain place, dogs don't do that for me. Like, generally speaking, unless I get some really good dogs that are well trained, I am running after them. So lately what I've been doing is actually using an assistant with a small softbox. Here, I can show. It's sort of awkward to do this on the Zoom, but like a small battery powered strobe and a little softbox. And I just attach it to a monopod, and I have my assistant follow me around, and I kind of give her direction as to, you know, make it lower or higher, or, you know, 30 degree, 45 degree, and she can move like on the spot. Because with what I'm trying to do, I'd rather not miss a moment fiddling with my gear. And the thing with these off-camera flashes is that they work every time. I don't have to worry about them not firing. And that has been a huge, because I just upgraded kind of to them in the last couple of years, and it has made a huge difference as far as not missing shots and just being ready to like run and gun. The other most important piece of equipment is not photo related. It's a little pouch of dog treats. And then I have a little lanyard. I don't have it next to me, but a little lanyard that I wear around my neck that has a duck call, a kazoo, a dog whistle, all kinds of little like noisemakers that I can use to get their attention, because usually when they hear a sound they haven't heard before, they stop at least for a split second. And that's when I can do my thing. Other than that, like, other than, you know, your standard lenses and cameras and that sort of thing, most of my equipment that I wanted to share is just having, you know, lighting for any situation, and picking ones that for me, I can just go with. I don't have to do a whole lot of setup. But again, it depends on the job. I mean, when I do video work, I have LED panels like Johnny has, or if I do studio work, it's big high-powered strobes that plug in and take a lot of energy. I've blown a few circuits in different places. So it really just depends. But for my most typical thing, I pack pretty light and stay pretty mobile. Oh, and I also bring like a garbage bag that I can lay on the grass so that I lay down, I don't get completely wet. Nothing too fancy. So
that's something a lot of people don't think of. Yeah. Even
Mhm.
just laying down, that's a great one. It's a great idea.
Yeah, you don't need anything fancy. It does help not to be covered in mud and wet.
Yes. Awesome. And Brittany, what would you like to talk about?
So the first thing I'm going to talk about, you guys heard I'm a wedding photographer. I need to also travel light, just like Hanalei does. And I need to be able to deal with any situation that I'm thrown into at any given time on the moment's notice. And my lighting changes drastically throughout the whole day. So I'll be in a hotel room, and then I'll be in a church, or I'll be in a field, or I'll be at a vineyard, and then all of a sudden I'm in a ballroom, and then we're outside with, you know, LED cafe lights that cause all kinds of problems if they're the inexpensive kinds of cafe lights. You know, it's the whole gamut. And just like Hanalei, I've got to be mobile with my lighting if I'm using external lighting. And the thing that has become my Swiss Army knife is honestly this little stand. It's the Photix Pedot Carbon 200. And another photographer friend of mine turned me on to these. She does a lot of destination weddings. And she said, you know, this is the best stand because it weighs less than 2 pounds. You can put it in your carry-on bag or you can check it. And it lays really flat. And this footprint, you don't see on any other stand. And the coolest thing about these for me, well, not the coolest, but one of the coolest things for me is that it's so lightweight. I carry 2 of them with me and they fit on the side of my bag in a little pouch. And I just, you know, I've got a little strap that snaps in and I can carry 2 of them and I can do 2-point lighting anywhere. And it doesn't weigh me down. I have a NovaFlex little ball head on the top. And on that is just, it's a little flash shoe for just a standard size flash. So like your little thing, you just pop it on and you're good to go. They go up to about 8 feet. So if you have them just standing in a corner, cool, you got a light stand. You end up in a church and you need a tripod. You can open this up, you can put your camera on the ball head and poof, you've got a tripod. And then you get to the wedding reception and just like Hanalei, she has her assistant booming the dog. It's a boom. That's my favorite feature. So you're not lugging around the legs all night. And the way that it extends these, every shaft, it doesn't rotate. So you don't get that, it doesn't spin as you're booming your light everywhere. It just goes up and down. So it's got locking channels, it's got everything, it's lightweight. And if I want to even do overhead photography during the ceremony, I can put my camera on here. I can put it on interval timer or just on self timer, put it in manual focus, stick it up above my head and get an aerial shot of the whole ceremony site or of the whole dance floor or whatever. So this is my Swiss Army knife stand that's always with me. If I need something bigger than this stand, the only other stand that comes with us is a 12-foot stand. And the one that I'm using right now is it is a Cheetah Stand, which I don't know if you all are familiar with, but basically whenever you pick it up, it has a collapsing column, so the legs collapse down. This is really useful for us at wedding receptions when you've got to move around chairs. So you pick it up, it collapses, you can maneuver around, you set it back down, the legs go back out. It's wonderful in churches, you can maneuver around, all that sort of stuff. Not so great in fields. What can you do? But usually if you're in a field, you're not using it because you're using natural light. So we carry that stand in this little tripod bag, which has just got a little shoulder sleeve. This is just it's a Manfrotto tripod stand. And we just stick one light stand in here and our larger strobes, we use Flashpoint gear, which is the Adorama brand for Godox. And so in here, I've got an 8200 and an 8300. And I have softbox and I've got a Profoto 1x1. And if I need the softbox, I use the 8300. If I need the 1x1, I use the 8200. And if I need to boom the 8200 for a sparkler exit or for something like a first dance, if I want the light to be a little softer, we boom it on this stand. So that's, it might seem kind of lame to say like, you're a wedding photographer and you're talking about light stands, but the light stands make my life so much easier. I've always got 2 cameras on me. That's just how I roll. And usually it's a 35-85. And I have in here, I can show you the inside of this bag. Oh, actually, before I even do that, the other thing that's key for me, honestly, is a silly little fanny pack. I keep my schedule for the day in here. I keep a little tiny hand mirror so that if anybody needs to look at themselves, I have it. It's really, really tiny. It's got a little thumb thing that I can hold. So if I want to do a reflection shot under my lens, I have a really clean surface for that. And I also keep in here a couple different prisms that aren't big prisms. One is literally just a little teardrop. I think this fell off a chandelier at a venue at some point, and I just picked it up off the ground. And then this one is just a circle chandelier, and it's a bobby pin. And if you're in a room that just has absolutely no personality, nothing, you try to do cool lighting, it still has no personality. You throw a little prism in front and all of a sudden you've got little rainbows everywhere and you go, ah, that looks aesthetically pleasing. And all of a sudden you've made magic for your client and it all fits in here. But in the bag, let's hope that everything doesn't fall out, guys. It's kind of comedic. So it's a pretty tight pack, both cameras. I've got one strap that's a little more heavy duty than the others. And it's the Hold Fast Moneymaker Solo. And I keep a think tank lens changer just hanging off of the back of it. And usually in here, I've got I've got a Tamron 17 to 28 that I usually keep in here because it's nice and light. Or if I know I only want wide, I'll keep an 18. But at any given time, I may need to go wide and I've got to change a lens. And rather than have the 16 to 35 2.8, which is so heavy, carry that for 10 hours a day, you're going to break your back. I keep that Tamron in there most of the day. And then when I get to the dance floor, I ditch the 35. But then everything else, it's just your standard lenses and flashes. I've got 2 flashes and I use these little mini flashes as my top trigger to fire my wireless flashes. And I do that because if I get stuck in a situation where I'm not in the main ballroom or I don't have my assistant or I need to take a quick group photo, this I can turn on and in a pinch, I can bounce. In a pinch, I can use a flash card. Whatever I need to do, it's on there. It's not pretty, it's not really bright enough, but it's good enough to get the job done. So that's that's the whole mentality behind it. I guess the last cool thing I've gotten here is a third camera body and a set of triggers. This is one half of them. The other one goes on another camera, and it allows me to have one camera in my hand that I am taking photos with. Usually it's my 85. And I put the other camera, third camera body, on my 12-foot stand or on, I don't know, on a small little, like a clamp, and I'll clamp it to the hoopah and I'll get an overhead view or into the ceremony arch of some way and get a shot that I wouldn't be able to get during the ceremony without being extremely intrusive. And I can wirelessly trigger that anytime I take a photo with the camera in my hand, it fires. And you know, all the press photographers at the White House do this, but a lot of their stuff is corded and they have 20 different ones every which way. And I can't even imagine the MacGyvering that has to go on to make that happen. It took me long enough to figure out how to use the one wireless trigger. And that one's an on-brand, it's a Sony. We shoot all Sony. I know you can do it with Godok's gear, but I have yet to figure out how to make the triggers make it work. So I just decided, you know what, Sony stuff works, I'm gonna do it. So that was probably way too much, but there you go.
It's very interesting. Thank you. I noticed like everyone, you know, I think everyone's kind of been, you really tailored your gear packs. Like, you know exactly what you all need and what helps the client too. It's not just like what you like, right? It's like these things are help get the job done quickly for your clients. I want to know more about how this has evolved for you. Like what did your packs look like, you know, when you first started?
Well, before I married Johnny, my pack was a camera and a lens. And I was like, this is fine. And I remember him being like, you need another camera. I'm like, no, I'm good. You should really have a flash. No, I can do everything natural light. I'm fine. But that was a long time ago. That was like right when we started dating. But the pack has gradually gotten more gear heavy. My bag used to be a smaller backpack. And at one point I had a think tank roller, and I realized that for wedding work, rolling bags don't work for weddings for me. There are too many sets of stairs. There are too many gravel driveways. There are too many fields I have to get across. And if I've got to just carry it on one handle to get over those things while I've got my cameras on, I get very frustrated. So being able to put it on my back and run across the field and get where I need to go is key. So I would say like this pack in this neatness, this bag is pretty new for me. But I needed to get something a little bigger so I could have the third camera, the triggers, and have the off-camera flashes that I wanted to have in that bag. I was previously having to have like a small bag of lighting gear that I would drop off at the reception and all sorts of stuff. I wanted something that was all in one. So it has been a constant evolution, and I completely anticipate it being even more of an evolution over time, because my goal now is I've got everything I need in this bag, but it weighs a little bit too much. So what can I shed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, Johnny or Hanalei, how has yours evolved as well?
Mine has evolved quite a bit, but I guess when I started, I just had, again, like a camera and a few lenses, and then like I worked in a studio and I had access to all kinds of other things that I could play with and slowly added. I'm not someone who buys the newest thing that comes out right away. Like I do my research and make sure it's something that I actually need before I purchase anything, because photo equipment's expensive, guys. So I know you know that, but and I'm cheap. So I would say, yeah, I mean, every year I kind of assess what I have been using and then figure out maybe where it wasn't meeting the need and looking at upgrading. I have upgraded my lights in the last 5 years. And I'm happy to do, like, I'm happy I was able to do that, and they're working great. And now I'm like, why didn't I buy those earlier? Because they're so good. And then like with lenses, excuse me, and camera bodies and that sort of thing, it really depends. Like for my work and in the gardens, like there are certain parameters that I have to meet, like a certain size file for the archives. So I had to buy a different camera body for that. So it kind of just depends. It's all an investment, but I'm always really careful about just buying something that's new and shiny because it's new and shiny and everyone else has it or everyone's talking about it. I really just try to keep it to what I need. And the same with traveling, like I pare it down quite a bit when I travel. Like I don't bring lights and stuff like that. When I travel, I shoot mainly natural light when I'm doing, you know, that type of work. But now maybe I haven't traveled anywhere for like 2 years, but I might bring like an off-camera flash and play with that next time. But I don't know. Sometimes I find equipment is really distracting for me to like make an image that means something. So the less equipment I have, I feel like the more in tune I am with the image making part of it. So that I think is sort of my philosophy. Like I don't want to get too complicated because then I forget, like I'm focused on the technical rather than what's in front of me, I guess.
I am very similar to you in that effect, Hanalei.
Yeah.
Like as much stuff as I have in this bag, for like 90% of the wedding day, I'm shooting with just the 2 cameras that are on me and the bags in the corner.
Right.
It's only in very specific scenarios where it's like, oh, I know I can do X, and to do X, I need Y and Z.
Absolutely.
And I know where they are, and then I go do it. But it's not like I go into every wedding that I shoot thinking, I'm going to use every trick that's in my bag. It's all just tools that I know where they are. Right. And if I need them, I have them. But I hate depending on them because I'd much rather just be in the moment catching what's happening.
Same. Yeah.
Johnny, how about you?
First, I want to comment. I feel like I'm being lit by a car headlight. This is like the newscaster at night look. It's very distracting for me. So I apologize, but this is what we have, right? It's funny because I shoot weddings with Brittany. Brittany and I are married. She leads B2 Suite Photography, and we shoot weddings together. And when we are together shooting weddings, I love the fact that I get to shed all the heavy bags, the giant roller bag, the million cases, the laptop, the tethering. And it's just like, no one is checking your images over your shoulder. the couple is just like, oh my God, it's going to be so amazing. And you're working so hard. And it's so liberating to just be like free. So like heavy gear at a wedding is like one thing. Heavy gear at like some insane, like multi-lighting setup with demanding clients, with like a team of people that have all key influence and they're all stakeholders and they need to see it live instantly and weigh in. That's like this whole ton of stuff. So doing both, it's really neat because weddings, I look at Brittany's pack, and for me, it's as if you get dropped into like anywhere, any weather, any day, any lighting. It's just crazy. And then for the corporate shoots I do, it's like, cool, I'm going into a nice building, generally with good air conditioning, many amenities, a little coffee machine, and all of these things. And you can roll in as much stuff as you want or as little as you want, depending on the job. But the big pack versus the little pack. So then I asked myself, do I want to customize each pack for each job? Or do I want to have one generally all-purpose pack and then add-on pieces, which is where I've landed. So I'd say back in the day, like starting out, I was very focused on like, what do I need to bring today? And now I'm kind of like, all right, this pack will work for nearly everything. And it's a little bit too much, but it's on wheels and I'm going into office buildings, so it's fine. But at weddings or run and gun or event photographer, too much is really bad because you have to leave it in a pile somewhere, which is potentially unsafe. So now you have like thousands of dollars of gear in this bag by some table while you're shooting the thing. It's not secure. Weddings, I'm always like, where are the bags? Where are the bags? Events, where are the bags? Corporate shoot, I'm like, the bags are back there. It's fine. So that is another consideration.
Yeah, you've completely redone your pack. So now you have your cameras and your lenses and your small flashes in your backpack.
Yeah.
And then all other lighting gear.
Wedding backpack. The wedding backpack is now also the like low tech corporate shoot. Like, cause some corporate shoots you need like a lot of lighting. Others you really need like maybe one light or maybe no light.
Awesome. I was going to ask, like, what tips do you have? But I think you all kind of covered that in your answers, you know, as you evolved, you know, how you're choosing your packs. It's a complicated thing. I know when I started out, I didn't know what to do and bought everything. And I have like a basket in my place. Like, what do I do with all these things?
We all have that.
Yeah.
The basement. Just don't ask to see the basement.
Right. Before we turn it over to the audience to show them their gear, I'm going to ask if anyone has any questions for our guests on what they have shared so far. And feel free to raise your hand and I'll kind of call on you. Since we have a smaller group, it's kind of easier that way. John.
Johnny, that flexible LED panel, I've never seen anything like it before, and it's great. And is it, if you were shooting at night, would it be strong enough to be the source of light?
At night? Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, there are a wide array of flexible LED panels. A lot of them are waterproof. And that's pretty great. Parts of it are not waterproof, but the panel itself is. And I will be, if you email me, I'll send you this one, but there's others out there at different price points and sizes, and they're pretty fantastic. And most of them nowadays are bicolor as well.
And
you
you
can
run
get
it off
them.
of wall current?
I'm sorry.
Yes, you can run them off a battery or the wall.
The battery is important.
The bigger they are, the bigger the battery, or the shorter you can run them.
Yeah.
But it depends on how long your shoot is and whatnot. I'm being lit by a quasar tube right now. This thing is like $200. It'll run for full power for 4 hours. It's bicolor as well. Brittany brings 2 to a wedding.
They're magnetic.
They're magnetic. Oh my gosh, I love it.
So like if you're anywhere, you can just stick it to a pole and you've got light.
Look at that.
You can also mount it to a stand.
And if you, and I stuff them in the umbrella as well. If you're, for me, the stuff, the LED inside is for when you get sent to the back and they're like, cool, you're doing headshots back here. And it's this horrible area. It's like dim, like where I am now.
Okay.
And
The cool thing about these quasars, they're really soft for being a single source. You can get away with lighting a night portrait with this, and you don't really feel like you're being lit by a flashlight.
How would you
can
compare
see
it
on
to
Johnny.
a LED ring light?
It's a very different catch light.
Very different.
It's all about the catch light for me. The ring light has beautiful light, but the catch light, it's either a big turn on or a big turn off, depending on the aesthetic of the viewer or the person, you know.
Great, Matt.
I see.
Yeah, I was wondering, the collapsible stand that Brittany had, that where you can put the two of them, what brand is that? I'm curious.
The little guy?
Yeah, and do they fold? Because I've got like the Manfrotto.
The Manfrotto
version.
snap together, right?
No, but I've got the collapsible version like that don't snap together, and I also have the Manfrottos that snap together. I'm
Right.
curious about that one specifically because it looks.
This one specifically is the Photix
Okay.
Cadet Carbon 200.
Okay.
There are two versions of this stand.
Mhm.
I can't remember if the other one, if that's what I have on here. There are two.
One of
There's
them,
the Carbon 198 and the Carbon 200, and you want the Carbon 200. The Carbon 198 is fine. I use it sometimes as a backup. The thing that I don't like about it is the way you tighten it is this collar,
Okay.
and it never gets tight enough. It's useless. So no, don't get it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't waste
do
your
it.
money. It's cheaper. Don't
Mhm.
buy it.
I,
I usually have two of these on my bag, but I grabbed this one just to have a stand in there. The other one of mine is actually what's lighting Mike right now.
And do they nest together?
Because this footprint is so small,
Okay.
they sit really close together. I mean,
But they don't click in.
they don't click in,
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
but they don't get caught on each other. And like I was saying, like if you're traveling,
Yeah.
you gotta stick this in your suitcase. This takes up like no room.
Yeah.
And they both fit on the side of my bag. And even on my smaller backpack, I just have rigged up like a, I can show you because I've got it down here.
they're lighter than the Manfrottos.
They are lighter than the Manfrottos.
I wish I could find a giant carbon fiber stand.
So this is my old camera backpack. This is the what is it? It's a Low Pro Protactic 350. This one is another Low Pro bag, but it's like the 560 Trekker or something like that. But it came with like a little snap thing here, and I just took one of the Low Pro pouches and I just shoved the stands in here.
Yeah.
Snap it. And then you can buy all of these cool things that are like the army surplus stuff. So like I always have a water bottle holder on my bag because I get thirsty. It's just, or if I need to stick something else in there, I can do that. But and then I found this bag in our basement. I have no idea what used to go in it. I think it was a cheap tripod, and this is what I stick the quasar in on this bag. So when I'm walking around, I look like an insane person with this bag because there's stuff flopping everywhere.
You're survivalist.
Yeah.
Johnny, were you gonna say something?
Speaking of health and human safety, such as staying hydrated, arguably my most essential thing to bring to a wedding is my earplugs.
Oh God, yes.
You will get stuck with this beautiful composition and you're like, I am right next to the speaker. So I always have earplugs, multiple sets. You never know. They're so small. There, Brittany, boom. Yeah. I'm telling you, Brittany and I, we look at each other when the dance floor hits.
The music starts and we're like,
protect your hearing.
the other thing that I started doing recently, I don't know if any of you who are listening shoot on Sony cameras, but the Sony camera body, and actually the Canon camera body used to do this to me as well. This part of my finger really, like, I swear it was looking crazy. Like, you look at a hand, you're like, oh, you're a photographer. You've got this massive bump on your knuckle. On Amazon for about $7. It's gonna sound really weird. Silicone toe protectors. Put one on your finger and then shoot for 10 hours. Your hand's not gonna hurt nearly as bad. You get about, it's like a pack of 12 of them. It has changed my life. If I were to, going back in time to the one thing that I would pack, this thing. I mean, my hand is saved. I was coming home from weddings just like, oh God, my finger is just aching. So you feel like your fingers hurt or that you're getting like a funny growth on your finger, get one of those things. It's been super helpful.
Oh yeah. I don't shoot weddings often. I just did one a couple weeks ago when my hand was cramped. Like,
yeah, you get like lockjaw on your hand.
Yeah. All right, Mike or Matt, did you have any more questions? Okay. Mike, did you have a question?
Oh yeah, well, yeah, I had a quick question. So, there's been some really cool like MacGyver stuff we've seen and things that are super specific to what everybody shoots. But I was just kind of wondering for equipment, like the stands and things like that. How is everybody like finding out about like new and interesting and kind of unusual equipment? I mean, like what are you doing to find this stuff? Like, are you just scouring through like, the Adorama or B&H website and just seeing what's there? Or is there like a good source for like seeing what's the new and interesting stuff out there that you use? I'll take my answer off the air here.
I know that Johnny watches a lot of YouTube.
I have a lot of curiosity for equipment, and I do a lot of buy and try, and I am that person that I just need to know if it's going to improve my workflow, if it's lighter, if it's going to make my life easier. For finding new sources, I follow brands on Instagram. I also I try to talk to other photographers when I see their behind the scenes stories on Instagram stories. I can ask them, whoa, what is that in the picture? And I study and I follow some behind the scenes accounts on Instagram as well. So Instagram is a large source for me. And we learned about some products on the wedding side through wedding workshops, and also just storytelling and, things
just
like
other
that.
photographer friends that we have. The stand I learned about from another wedding photographer in the area, Erin Wisby. She was like, oh yeah, you should totally try this. This is the stand that I use. I love it. And I'm like, what is it? I'm going to go buy 2 of them, because it was just carrying around the Manfrotto Nano stand, carrying around 2 of them. I couldn't stick it on my bag. The base was too big. It was too hard to carry around. So I was only carrying 1 stand. Then it was a monopod as well. And another, it was just too much stuff. Second I saw that at her house, I was just like, oh my God, that's it. That's the thing.
Awesome.
But most of my gear research comes from Johnny, where he'll buy and try something, and then I go, oh, great.
Or if you second shoot with another photographer, or
That's
a
true too.
photographer shoots with you, because weddings, if there's 2 photographer weddings and I'm not shooting it,
It doesn't happen all that often, but
yeah,
you never know.
And then you see, oh my gosh, what are you doing there? I think that's a big value of photo assisting. I would love to see some of the other talented photographers in the area shoot, because I know they got little things, it's always these little micro optimizations.
Yes, when I assist Mike, I always learn something new. Let's go. My gear person has been Matt in the past. So let's start going through our gear things. And I know Matt probably has some stuff that he'd like to talk about.
Since COVID, my own goals have sort of been changing a little bit. I've kind of been really assessing, okay, what do I really want to shoot? And I'm finding it's a whole new sort of equipment list. So for some of the projects I've been doing, it's more like, okay, I need a waterproof camera bag. Like not just like splash resistant, but like this might get dunked. So I'm looking at more sort of smaller packs that I can either keep up higher, sort of closer to my chest with a waterproof bottom or inserts. One of the things I found is there's a company called Light in Motion, which makes LED lights. They made dive lights. And fun fact, if you go to the AMP National website, you get a 40% discount from their website on Light in Motion LEDs. But what's
So
nice is
Mike is being lit by a Light in Motion LED. You're being lit by a Stella Pro 8000. Isn't it nice? You look so good.
Mike, yeah, so it's I have 3 of them, and the smaller 2, I have the Stella Pro 1000 and the 2000. They're also completely submergible. You can take them down to 100 feet. So also this summer, I've finally got my scuba certification. So now I'm like, okay, I'm like ready to go. But it's just, they're not nearly as powerful as strobes, but I can take them out and not worry about them, and for faster, quicker shoots, it is, it's what you see is what you get. Another thing that's always been I've always told everybody is get yourself an 8x8 foot or 10x10 foot, just white sheet. And it's one of those things, like it can go in your stand bag. It can act as padding. You often don't need it, but the number of times I've been shooting in, say, a conference room or, the executive conference room or whatever. And, right where I want the person, there's light bouncing off the dark wooden table. And sometimes you just don't want that dark reflection. So a sheet like that can just save you. It can be a scrim, it can be a reflector. I'm putting this link in a link to something else in the chat, but they're basically just little clamps that have suction cups on them. And so that's something else along with that white sheet. Now you can attach it to any window, and it can either block direct sunlight if you don't want it, or it can basically turn that wall into something you can bounce a flash off of, or just use as a reflector. And it's just a little $3 suction cup. And I get thrown just in. I've what I call my oh shit bag, which is the clamps, the everything you never knew you needed. Also in there, I always have bungee cords because I am kind of offended by sandbags. Like I hate the fact that I have to carry literally dead weight to a shoot when you're carrying all this other stuff. So even just a couple of small bungee cords, again, they don't take up any space. I will hang my bag off. I mean, on big shoots, yeah, I'll use sandbags, but for a lot of the smaller ones, it's just a lot easier to bring a sandbag, for some reason, bring out a bungee cord and then figure out something to attach it to. Similarly, if I'm shooting outside and the light stand's going in the grass, I'll use tent stakes. So instead of a sandbag, tent stakes pushed into the ground with bungee cords around each leg is another way to easily secure it to the ground without having to worry about carrying 15 pounds of dead weight.
When you say that you do stuff where you need not underwater, but waterproof stuff, I know that Dan at Light in Motion is also really big on Outex. Have you seen the Outex housings?
No. For cameras or for
cameras?
Because I unfortunately am in the market for it.
Okay, well,
I want to be,
not,
but yeah.
I've been scuba diving for over 20 years.
Okay.
I have like a big Aquatica underwater housing with the strobes and all that sort of stuff. But if you're just doing stuff in like waist high or down to 1 atmosphere, so like 30 feet, 33 feet, that sort of thing, the Outex housings are basically, it's a silicone bubble.
Okay.
You stick your camera in it, and then it's got a lens mount on the front.
Yeah.
So you can put your 8-inch dome or your 9-inch dome on the front. Yeah. And it's completely waterproof. And they've got different versions of it that have ports so that you can have off-camera flash too, underwater, that kind of stuff. But if you're doing that kind of work where you need the waterproof stuff, check out Outtex. They're really affordable. I want to say the housing's like $400.
Okay, which is good compared to like 3,000 for
Yeah,
everything
exactly.
else.
If
So,
you go
yeah.
Aquatica or Nauticam, you're talking $2,900 to $3,500 just for the housing.
Yeah.
Before you even get the dome port or the lens extension tube to go to the dome port
Yeah.
to use the lens that you would like to use. And then if you decide, oh, I would like to use a different lens, oh, well, you have to buy another dome extension for that lens.
And I wouldn't necessarily call this a trick, but I also bought it's Olympus, the TG6, which is their little like.
It's a great camera.
And it's just, I was shooting something. I was at a marine research lab on the coast of Maine, and they had a little tank, and I was like, oh, I just stuck it in there and just tried it out. And it's not as good as having professional gear, but
Sure.
I wouldn't have been able to try it, with that. So it's just great for experimenting and, getting some images that you wouldn't necessarily put your regular gear through.
Sure. Yeah, the Outtake stuff's cool. I don't own any, so like I haven't I've seen it at like WPPI. I almost bought it, and then COVID happened, and I was like, well, maybe I'll wait.
COVID.
But
That sums it up. COVID happened.
Yes. Awesome. Well, let's get some other people wanting to share. Anyone else? Raise your hand and I'll call on you, or wave to me. No one else? Mike?
Well, so just to kind of echo Matt talking about, okay, it's a pain to have sandbags and stuff. So a kind of cool solution that I came up with that I used for like one trip I had to take where I couldn't rent any gear and I was gonna have to fly with stuff and I was gonna need sandbags, is I got online these inflatable bags that they're actually made for like holding down like outdoor umbrellas and stuff, like, like cafe tables and stuff. But they're these just kind of wraparound bags, and you can stick them right on your the base of your stand, and you just fill them with water. And once they're filled with water, I mean, they're like 20 pounds each. So it's like an incredible sandbag. They're super sturdy. I think I'd ordered them on Amazon. They were really cheap. And then at the end, you just dump the water out, compress them and put them back in your bag. And those work really great. I used them once, but yeah, it was a really awesome solution for that. So that's something I'd recommend. That in case you have that need.
All right. Anyone else before we wrap up here? No.
I
can't
add
think-
another thing real quick.
Yeah.
Just put a link in the description. This is a more portrait photographer, like hair product. If you have no hairstylist and the person is humid day, frizzy hair, and they want a little bit of help, the product I just linked to, it's called an Anti-Frizz Sheet. It's effectively like a moist towelette with a little coconut oil. And I keep 10 or 20 of these in my bag, and they save the day sometimes. If someone comes up and they're like, oh my gosh, things happened, it's not quite right. I'm like, here, take this Anti-Frizz Sheet so they can work their hair, go to the bathroom, style themselves a little bit. Oh, Brittany's got one. Bam, perfect. So yeah, that's a cool little product. Really nice little touch for clients, and it's really helped out at some shoots.
Perfect for summertime in Washington. For
I just bought those literally right now.
They smell nice too. They smell like coconut.
Yeah. I feel like I have the most random shoots where it's like, oh, fix that. Yeah.
I keep
long-
that, and then the other thing that I think, Johnny, you gave me at some point, I don't remember which bag it's in. They're like these little Geisha girl powder strips.
The cleaning clears.
They're
It's
no, it's
Heard of those too, Matt.
they're rice paper
Yeah.
with powder. And the package looks like this. Of course, it's gonna be
Oh.
backwards because it's Zoom.
That's
But
great.
it's yeah. If
But
someone
they
would like
are, they're these little
yeah.
like thin sheets and they have like a neutral colored powder. And
I
if
can
you're
no longer
outside, you're getting
recommend them.
really shiny.
I can no longer recommend them. This just in. No, I used those. The powder, it came out and then the powder puffed.
Yep.
There was this like powder on some dude's jacket. They're out of the bag.
Damn, that hasn't happened to me yet.
They are good when they're work, but just beware. I think Matt's suggestion.
Yes,
It's called clear and clear and simple or something like that. But it just absorbs oil. And what I found is that, you know, you give it to, it's easier, especially with men, if you don't have a makeup artist, because it's like, you're not making a big deal of it. It's not like, oh, you have to put on makeup. Yeah. It's like, oh, it's just, and then I've had people come back to me later and say they bought it and they keep it in their drawers for meetings, ahead of meetings. But it's just, it's one of those little ways you can signal to somebody that you're taking care of them. And it's that little way of, oh, just do the, you know, and it helps a little bit, but more than anything, it kind of gets them in the mode that this is a photo shoot. Because sometimes when you're doing corporate work, it's like they're coming out of a meeting, you've got them for 5 minutes before they have to go into another meeting, and you need to do that one thing that makes them present and makes them understand that they're on your time for a little bit, you know? So any little thing like that I can sort of gets them thinking about taking care of themselves, I think helps.
They're called these oil absorbing sheets.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've
All right,
had them
well,
in my
then
kit since I was an
don't
assistant.
do these. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Awesome.
They've
I
worked
think-
for me for brides, but I've never used them on a
I
guy.
feel like we need a baby photographer to talk about like the bells you put around the lens.
Oh,
Have you seen
Yes.
this? You can.
I've
It's like
heard about it.
Yeah, it's like you wrap. It's like a little
It's
elastic.
a little
belt,
bungee thing, and
like-
you got like a squeaky toy and some other stuff.
There's a whole world of newborn photography products. Oh my gosh. Oh my
But
god.
newborn, well, not you wouldn't
Oh,
use
no, I'm
this
sorry,
for
newborn. I'm sorry. Newborn,
Children.
you're right. Different fleet of products. Yeah.
We've been talking about posing beans
Yeah.
and what are the cradles with the stretched fabric. And
Mm-hmm.
I've done like 3 newborn sessions, and I can say that I am not a newborn photographer, guys. I can fake it, but I am not a newborn photographer.
Yeah, I used to be a newborn photographer assistant. It's very fascinating.
Yeah,
Very
get the tiny
fascinating.
teddy. No, get the tiny teddy right in there. Oh no, we gotta adjust the
Hold
hand.
its head, and we'd
Yeah,
like,
it's
like
so-
we, composite it. I like hold its head, and like so it was like sitting up. Oh
Oh
man,
my gosh, so weird. So
yeah, lots
weird.
of weird gear there.
But I mean, it's like you can make some really incredible images.
hmm
Just that the behind the scenes while you do it is a little. You're like, that's how you do it.
And you keep the room like 80 some
Really
degrees,
warm.
and so like you're sweating the whole time while you're doing it. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Anyway, it's a whole arena that I don't know enough about.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I see this was a really fun conversation. I see this kind of doing this again different times throughout the year, hopefully with different types of photographers. I know we wanted to get Clay on here tonight, but he wasn't able to come and do food. We have Laura Chase, who's on our board, and she talked about the kind of crazy things that she will pack in her bags as well for food. So hopefully we'll get to do this again. But thank you, Hanalei, Brittany, and Johnny for starting this series off and coming with amazing gear. This has been a blast.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
So,
No, this has been very informative. Thank you so much.
thank you. Just one more thing. Just remember that we're having our event next week, the cocktail or the happy hour. Is that what's called, right, Mike?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and that is on Wednesday, the 27th. So if you want to see us all in person, we'd love to see you. As much as this is very convenient, but yeah, we'll hopefully see you all next week. And then we have a bunch of stuff in November, like Mike said at the beginning, that we will hopefully be advertising soon. So
Yep. We're sending out some announcements very soon. So
great. Well,
Great.
thank you all. We won't keep you any longer. Have a great night and good luck with everyone's shoots for the rest of the week.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Caroline.
Bye.
But
All right. Bye-bye.